centuries, it was nothing more than a rumour, a legend whispered by conquistadors, scribbled on maps that pointed to a golden city hidden deep in the heart of the jungle. They called it La Ciudad Blanca, the White City. Many searched for it, many failed, some never returned. They thought it was a myth, a story to lure treasure hunters to their doom. But what if I told you that this city wasn't just a legend? What if I told you that one of the last great archaeological discoveries of the 20th century wasn't in Egypt or Rome, but here, in the remote, untamed jungles of Honduras, a discovery so vast, so pristine, that it's been called the City of the Jaguar God. This is the story of how modern technology, ancient clues and sheer human determination finally pulled a lost civilization back from the clutches of the jungle. This is the story of the lost city of the Mosquitia. The Mosquitia. Even the name sounds like a secret. A vast, roadless region spanning eastern Honduras and northeastern Nicaragua, it is one of the last truly wild places on Earth. For centuries, it was a blank space on the map, a green hell of tangled vines, treacherous swamps, and deadly creatures, both animal and human. The Spanish conquistadors, who had toppled the stone empires of the Aztecs and Incas with steel and disease, found the Mosquitia impenetrable. It swallowed expeditions whole, but from this unforgiving land, legends emerged. The local indigenous peoples, the Pec and Tawaka, spoke of Caja-Camasa, a white house or a sacred place where their ancestors once lived. Spanish chroniclers, like the Bishop of Honduras, wrote in the 16th century of a prosperous, powerful city made of white stone ruled by a god king, its streets flowing with gold. They called it La Ciudad Blanca. For hundreds of years, the legend festered in the imaginations of explorers and adventurers. In the 1920s, the famous aviator Charles Lindbergh reported seeing mysterious white ruins from his plane. In the 1930s, a swashbuckling journalist and adventurer named Theodore Maud claimed he had found it. He returned from the jungle with artifacts and a wild story. The city was built to worship a giant simian deity, the god of the howler monkeys. He said he was led to a massive statue of the god, but fearing a curse, refused to reveal its location. He promised to return with a full expedition, but he never did. He died in mysterious circumstances, taking the precise location of his discovery to his grave. The White City faded back into myth, a ghost in the green, waiting. The man who would eventually succeed where others had failed was not a trained archaeologist. He was a documentary filmmaker and an adventurer named Steve Elkins. For Elkins, the legend of the White City was an obsession. In the 1990s, he mounted his first expedition, a grueling ground-based trek that nearly ended in disaster. The jungle was a living wall of resistance. They found nothing but exhaustion and disease. The Mosquitia had defeated him, but Elkins was not a man to give up. He bided his time, waiting for technology to catch up to his ambition. Years later, he learned about a revolutionary new remote sensing technology called LiDAR. Light detection and ranging. Mounted on a plane, LiDAR could fire millions of laser pulses through the jungle canopy, mapping the ground beneath in stunning detail, effectively erasing the trees to reveal the topography. It was the key to unlocking the Mosquitia. Elkins assembled a team of the best, the National Centre for Airborne Laser Mapping, NCALM, to operate the LiDAR, and a group of respected archaeologists as advisors. He funded the multi-million-dollar project himself. It was a colossal gamble. The survey area was enormous and there was no guarantee they would find anything but more jungle floor. The flight took place on a sweltering day in 2012. The plane flew a precise grid pattern over the target valley, a place known as T1, chosen based on Elkins' decades of research. As the data was processed, the team gathered in a cramped room, the air thick with anticipation. The first images appeared on the screen, a digital, three-dimensional model of the valley, stripped bare of vegetation. At first, it was just a river, a valley. Then the analysts started pointing. What's that? A perfect rectangular plateau, clearly man-made, appeared near the riverbank. then another, then a network of terraces, plazas and mounds laid out in a clear, organised pattern, and at the very centre of the settlement, a startling feature, a massive earthen pyramid over 100 feet tall. They had found it, not just a few scattered ruins, but an entire city. The legend was real. Finding the city from the air was one thing, getting to it on the ground was another. The Mosquitia is not just a wilderness. It is a realm guarded by its own laws. The team needed permission and help from the people who knew the jungle best, the indigenous communities. This is where the second key figure entered the story, an Honduran archaeologist and former government minister named Virgilio Paredes. He was the bridge between the high-tech world of Elkins and the ancient living world of the Mosquitia. Paredes negotiated with the local communities, explaining the mission, promising respect for their land and their heritage. He secured the blessing of the elders, who saw the project not as a treasure hunt, but as a recovery of their own lost history. The final crucial member of the ground team was a former British SAS soldier and survival expert named Andrew Woody Wood. His job was to keep the scientists alive. He would lead the insertion, set up a base camp and manage the immense logistical and security challenges of operating in one of the most dangerous environments on Earth. The stage was set. In 2015, a small elite team, archaeologists, Oscar Neil Cruz and Chris Fisher, filmmaker Bill Benenson, Woody, and a crew of ex-Special Forces soldiers and Honduran Special Operations soldiers boarded helicopters and flew into the heart of T1. The helicopter ride was a descent into a different age. The modern world fell away, replaced by an unbroken sea of green. They landed in a small clearing by the river, the rotor wash whipping the jungle into a frenzy. As the helicopters departed, the silence that rushed in was profound and heavy. Their first objective was to find the feature one identified by LiDAR, a large rectangular structure near the river. Using GPS units synced with the LiDAR data, they hacked their way through the dense undergrowth. The heat was suffocating, insects swarmed, every step was a battle. Then Chris Fisher, staring at his GPS, looked up. "It should be right here." They were standing on it, a massive, man-made earthen platform, so overgrown it was indistinguishable from the natural landscape to the naked eye. But it was there. The LiDAR was right. They had made first contact with a civilization that had vanished half a millennium ago. The excitement was electric. They began to fan out, and within minutes the cries started to ring through the jungle. "Over here! I found something." It was a ceremonial metate, a stone seat for grinding corn, but of a size and intricacy reserved for the highest elites. It was exquisitely carved with the figure of a vulture, a symbol of power and the underworld. Then another cry. Here too! A beautiful polished stone vessel, half buried in the roots of a giant tree. It was lying where it was last placed centuries ago. The city was not just a ghost in the data, it was real, and it was littered with artifacts, preserved in a state of suspended animation. The team established Base Camp Alpha on a high bank overlooking the river. Each day they would venture deeper into the city, following the LiDAR map like a treasure chart. They discovered plaza after plaza, terrace after terrace. The scale of the settlement was staggering. This was not a small village, it was a major ceremonial and political centre, home to thousands of people. The most breathtaking moment came on the third day. The LiDAR had shown a strange cluster of objects at the base of the Great Pyramid. Oscar Neil Cruz, the Honduran archaeologist, was carefully excavating the area. The soil was soft. His trowel scraped against something hard and smooth. He brushed away the centuries of soil with his hands. A curved, polished surface emerged. Then another. He carefully dug around them. He was not looking at rocks. He was looking at a cache of objects, placed with deliberate care. He unearthed a stunning collection of stone artifacts, all in pristine condition. They were finely carved vessels, a seal with intricate geometric designs, and the head of a Jaguar statue, a human figure transforming into a jaguar, representing a shamanic state. But the centerpiece of the cache was something that made the entire expedition gasp. It was a ceremonial vessel known as a vinaja, of breathtaking beauty and chilling symbolism. It was carved from a single piece of dark, polished stone, and on its lid sat the full figure of a jaguar, its body coiled, its mouth open in a silent snarl. And gripped in its powerful jaws was the head of a shaman, his eyes wide, his face contorted in an ecstatic or agonized trance. They called it the Jaguar vessel. It was more than an artifact, it was a statement. This was a city that worshipped power, that communed with the spirit world through the most potent symbol in Mesoamerican culture. The jaguar. They had found the spiritual heart of the city. They had begun to call the place, unofficially, the City of the Jaguar God. As the 2-week expedition continued, the city began to reveal its story. It was not a city of stone like the Mayan centers to the west. This was a city of the earth. They built with soil, clay, and river cobbles, constructing massive platforms, pyramids, and causeways that were engineered to last. The LiDAR revealed a sophisticated landscape. The city was carefully planned, with a central core and outlying settlements, all connected by raised causeways to avoid seasonal flooding. Who were these people? The artifacts pointed to a culture that was distinct from the Maya, yet connected to the wider cultural tapestry of pre-Columbian America. They were likely a precursor to the Pek and other groups still living in the region. They flourished in this remote valley for centuries, perhaps from 1000 AD until the time of European contact. But why was it abandoned? The team found no evidence of war, no mass graves, no signs of violent destruction. The city seemed to have been peacefully, deliberately left. The prevailing theory is one of societal collapse. The Spanish arrival brought with it a tsunami of new diseases, smallpox, measles, influenza, for which the indigenous people had no immunity. These diseases raced ahead of the conquistadors themselves, sweeping through continents and decimating populations. It's likely that a plague, a silent apocalypse, reached the city of the Jaguar God long before any European ever laid eyes on it. The survivors, their society shattered, simply walked away from their homes and temples, melting back into the jungle, their great city fading into the legend of La Ciudad Blanca. The team's time was running out. The rainy season was approaching, which would turn the rivers into torrents and make helicopter extraction impossible. They had one final sacred task to perform. Modern archaeology is no longer about hauling treasures back to museums. It's about preservation and understanding. The greatest threat to the city of the Jaguar God was not time, but the modern world. Looters who would strip the site for profit. Before they left, the team made a momentous decision. They would not publicly reveal the exact location. They would remove a select few artifacts for scientific study and to prove the discovery to the world, but the vast majority would be left exactly where they were found. They carefully documented every object, every structure, with 3D scanners and photographs. Then, they reburied the ceremonial cache at the base of the pyramid, protecting it from the elements and from prying eyes. They left the city as they found it, sleeping under its green blankets. Their mission was to prove its existence and ensure its protection, not to put it on display. The Honduran government, under President Juan Orlando Hernandez, declared the entire valley a protected archaeological zone, and a new, larger scientific expedition was planned for the future. The discovery of the City of the Jaguar God was front-page news around the world. It was hailed as one of the most important archaeological finds of the century, but for the scientists, it was just the beginning. The 2015 expedition had only scratched the surface. The LiDAR data showed that this was not one city, but a whole lost world. In the surrounding valleys were at least 2 other major settlements, part of a vast, previously unknown network of cities. Who ruled this kingdom? What was their writing system, their calendar? How far did their trade networks extend? The questions are endless. The City of the Jaguar God is a single piece of a massive, unsolved puzzle, a civilization that developed in total isolation for centuries. Every new expedition promises to rewrite the history of pre-Columbian America. The true treasure of the city of the Jaguar God is not gold but knowledge. It is a time capsule, a window into a world we thought was lost forever. It proves that the Americas were a vibrant tapestry of complex societies, many of which rose and fell without ever being recorded in a history book. The story is a testament to human perseverance, both of the ancient people who built a civilization in this challenging land, and of the modern explorers who refused to let their story die. It is a story that blends high-tech innovation with old-fashioned grit, legend with science. The jungle of the Mosquitia still holds its secrets. The city of the Jaguar God is awake, but it is not yet ready to tell all its stories. It sits in silence, guarded by jaguars and time, waiting for the next seeker to listen. The city of the Jaguar God. It's a story that proves that sometimes the greatest legends are true, that there are still wonders hidden in the world, waiting for the right combination of technology, courage, and respect to bring them back into the light. This discovery fundamentally changes our understanding of the Americas before Columbus. It wasn't an empty wilderness, it was a land of complex, sophisticated cultures, each with their own stories, their own gods, and their own incredible achievements. If you were as captivated by this journey into the lost city as I was, if you want to help support this channel in uncovering more of history's greatest mysteries, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. A massive thank you, as always, for watching. Your support is what makes these deep dives into history possible. Until next time, keep exploring.